everyone. We are happy to have Arizona Republican Party Chair Gina Swoboda with us tonight. Good to see you.
Good to be here. Thanks for having me, Mark.
Some interesting news happening today on TikTok with the rumors, and I want to get your take on this, that David Schweikert might throw his hat in the ring for governor.
I saw that on X. That's a big event if that is the case.
All right, so you've got Biggs, you've got Karen Taylor Robeson, and now maybe Schweikert. How does that play with the Republican Party? And two of those candidates have been endorsed by Trump.
They have. And remember, Arizona 1, which is Congressman Schweikert's seat, is one of the top 5 targets of the DCCC, the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. So that's a big deal if that should come to pass. Congressman Schweikert has served faithfully and well. I know he is a fiscal hawk, so we'll see what he does, but that is a hard district to win. I live in that district, so I know it well.
Do you worry about having 3 big names out there?
I think it's important that we allow everybody that wants to get in, and let's have it out now, and then let's just get together behind whoever the voter gives us so that we can roll tide when it comes to the general. When we try to, in the past, the parties tried to put their finger on the scale. That does not end well in the Republican Party. We don't do this thing where we all, make an agreement and just get behind one person. We need to kind of vent our spleen, so to speak, and really look at everybody. That's just the way our party works here in Arizona.
The other thing that happened today, and I want to get your response to this, the president said he's going to issue, and he's working on it right now, an executive order that would do away with mail-in balloting. 75% of Arizonans vote by mail. What do you say to the Republicans out there who enjoy voting by mail and think the system is secure?
So with the mail-in balloting issue, we have had a loss of confidence with part of the party on the Republican side of the aisle. I think that it is definitely true. I would go further and say the ballot chase and the early vote in the last cycle helped deliver this election for Republicans. There were a lot of organizations very involved in that chase. However, the federal elections, it's up to the federal government how they're done. Now, I think following the executive order, Congress may have to act. I'm sure there will be litigation on that. But
I think that's a safe bet.
Yeah, that's a safe bet. But there's an interesting thing happening with Secretary Fontes with the UOCAVA. So that's our military and civilians that live overseas. Secretary Fontes is implementing like online anonymous voting on devices for those voters. So at the same time that we have part of our populace concerned about physical mail ballots, we have the secretary going in the exact opposite direction to just purely online electronic voting, which to me is totally insecure. So we need to look at these issues and make sure the public has confidence, because if they don't, they're not coming. If they don't come, we have nothing. So that's what we've got to do.
Filed under the heading, if you're going to be in the business of hosting a political debate, you better make sure there's an even playing field. Back in 2022, current Governor Katie Hobbs elected not to debate Kari Lake. Ultimately, Hobbs got a one-on-one interview with Arizona PBS, but Lake wasn't offered the same as Hobbs. And they said in part because some internally felt that she's an election denier. Now the Senate President, Warren Peterson, wants the FCC to revoke Arizona PBS's license. Do you really want, although it's bad and although we did invite Arizona PBS to come on tonight, do you really want to see that happen?
I do not. I issued a press release saying while I agree with President Peterson that we absolutely have to have a thorough investigation, it is clear to me reading those emails that there was absolutely viewpoint discrimination levied at one candidate. And when it's a government-funded news station doing it, that's unacceptable. It's a violation of the First Amendment. However, that being said, I appreciate publicly funded broadcasting. We had concerns in the last few years about the conglomeration of entities buying up all the media channels. I remember people being upset about Jeff Bezos taking the Washington Post. So if we're going to say we're concerned about a small number of entities controlling all the media outlets, we can't at the same time then shut down public broadcasting, because then where do you go? So I want to know what PBS intends to do to ensure this can't happen again. I definitely think there needs to be an investigation and monitoring, but no, I don't support shutting it down.
Have you had any communication with Arizona PBS or ASU?
I have not.
All right. Let's move on to ESAs, which was the other thing that I really wanted to talk to you about. Craig Harris, even tonight, has done some tremendous reporting on gross abuse within the program. Diamond rings, trips to SeaWorld.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, it is outrageous. The program has ballooned to over $1 billion. What do you want to do? What do you want to see your party do when it comes to ESAs, which in its concept was a great thing to have for parents with kids with disabilities? But let's face it, Gina, the system is being gamed by people who don't need the money.
I will concur that there are people that are taking advantage of that system, and it appears that they are making purchases that should not be approved. My understanding now is because of the staffing issues they're having, they're just blanket approving anything under 2,000. So Craig's done tremendous work, and I'm grateful for it. Anytime you have a government program, it's going to be susceptible to abuse, and when you expand it rapidly and you don't staff up for it or put guardrails in place, this is where we are now. So, you know, I love our public school system. I love our charter schools. I want people to have choice. I think parents need choice. That being said, we need risk limiting audits. We need to do something to ensure that this is cut off, because if it's not, then the public won't support the expansion of the program. And remember, we're bringing Prop 123 is going to have to get back on the ballot in the next election. And if this is what the public is seeing is happening with the expansion, they just won't support it.
So you would agree that maybe in hindsight, some guardrails on this program would be effective and proper?
I do agree with that.
All right. The final issue we want to talk about, and I think this crosses all political divides when it comes to our children, when they're abused repeatedly, as we saw in the case of Rebecca Baptiste, who, the poor thing, was just buried today. Chaska Davis. And these were two cases, and there are so many more, with multiple, I'm talking 5 or 6 or 7 reports of abuse to DCS. What, from the party standpoint, would you like to see happen with DCS?
So again, and this is painful and beyond tragic. So we have a government program that is designed to do one thing, and that's to protect children. Look at the babies on the TV, to protect children that are in danger. And we had multiple reports. One of the worst things I read is the woman working in the hotel was like a trained worker that knew how to recognize the signs, and she kept calling. Why didn't anybody come? So, and then we have instances where they take a child, and then the child's diabetic, and the child doesn't get their insulin, and the child dies. So this whole thing needs an immediate emergency set of hearings. So Senator Karen Werner from Legislative District 4 up there is having hearings, but we can't just talk about it. We need to act, and we need to act with urgency. And again, I think we have a huge issue here in a government program, and children are not just falling through the cracks. Children are dying. So we have to act. We've got to do it now.
They're being murdered.
They're being murdered, and they're being abused in the most reprehensible, heinous way before. They're being tortured. They're being tortured to death.
Well, maybe this is something where we can see Arizona Democrats and Republicans get together and say, let's fix this, because it is a bad, horrible situation for our state, and we are better than this.
Amen.
All right.
We have to be, Mark.
Yeah. Gina,
thank you.
So good to see you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Troy?
Yeah, really interesting interview. Thank you, Mark.